Here's someone calling me a scumbag. It's fine. Here's someone, Umbrella Guy, claiming Tim Pool defends Eliza Bleu. Here's Chrissy Mayer talking about me and whatever. The Umbrella Guy talking about me losing it. These drama channels take things out of... Okay, here we go. To all the people who are upset with me, especially over the video that I put out the other day, you know what? I'm going to apologize. Absolutely. And I'm going to be completely honest with you. Obviously, we have our differences, and obviously I feel a certain way, but I don't want to fight with you. Not Whoa, bro. Looking good, man. You working out? You lost weight? Wow. Great suit, by the way. You working out, man? You're looking good. That's a nice suit. What is that? What is that made of? You know, velour? What, a silk robe?
I'm calling from Los Angeles, and I'm having a little problem under the name ThatUmbrellaGuy. I sent him my phone number at least 20 times in the chat and told him to call me. He ignored me, or I'm a man. I filed the report. If you guys could take a look at it and give me a call back, I would love to hear what you guys can do to help us. We really need to kind of stop this guy at least until Monday. I told him to call me, or I'm a...
Did you see the picture of Jack Murphy's beard as your hat?
Yeah. That's part of the op, bro. That's part of the op, bro.
Why did I have to lift heavy bags for travelers at an airport, 50,000 pounds per day, loading up all these planes? It's a lot of weight.
Did you work at Midway?
I worked at O'Hare.
Whew.
So I would lift between like 35 and 50,000 pounds.
That's why you're so shredded. Sure. I didn't want to say anything.
It's leftover muscle.
Right. I didn't want to say anything, but it's hard to not notice, you know? Yeah. That's why you're so shredded.
I'm a man.
That's why you're so shredded.
All right, what's up, folks? Welcome to a pretty interesting edition of What the Heck Were They Thinking? Starring some of the stupidest people on earth, it feels like some days. I mean, yesterday, we were going over that wonderful Shane Cashman article, you know, and I kept telling you when we were going over it, I thought, man, you know, this stuff's pretty bad, as in, this is the kind of stuff that'll get you sued. And sure enough, yeah, apparently they feel the same way too today. So if you don't know what I'm talking about, oh God, this is the best thing ever, by the way. It was really good. There's going to be some damage control, it looks like. There may be some rewrite in the article. If not, it looks like there's going to be somebody getting sued. But this is good stuff. Rocket Ruin, man. What's up? What's up, buddy? How you doing, man? Thanks for the 10 gifted memberships, by the way. Love watching them land. Thank you, bud. Appreciate that, sir. And the Professional Zilch, thank you. Welcome. Thank you for the memberships. Welcome to Tugs Thugs, man. So yesterday we had part 3 of the Eliza Bleu Chronicles. And remember, so many people for some reason want to say that this doesn't have anything to do with TimCast. And I don't understand that thinking, because it's hosted on his site. It has his face across from it. I mean, you can see him right there, clear as day. If somebody writes an article, like say Table of Rens writes an article, and the person that gets hit with that article, they don't like it. Now, they may sue the person that writes it. They may sue both, or they may just sue the place hosting it. It really depends sometimes. I mean, you see both happen, but to pretend that there's no liability in this message here is foolish. So I want to read you a little bit of this, but I want to show you what's going on with it today, because this has been fascinating. And we know for certain who this is about. We know for certain who this is about. But interestingly, so Defango has talked about this a bit today, because this is definitely Defango. But Shane himself put the name to who he was talking about. So he's actually said his name before. And I find that to be interesting, because again, I feel like they tried to play coy, or they tried to play pretend like they didn't do anything wrong. No. I didn't actually put a name to this stuff, when they most certainly did. Oh, they most certainly did. They've done it before. And again, they accused Defango of some horrible, horrible shit. And they forgot the one thing that journalists that helped them in the clear. They forgot the word allegedly. They didn't allegedly blame him or quote some fake vague source. Shane Cashman himself made these statements. And he made some nasty ones. Again, like I said, this is how you get sued. And this is how you lose. Lawyers have agreed with this. This isn't just me talking about it. They're like, yo, I can't believe that they would say this kind of stuff. So, I mean, it's just nuts. What's up, 2012? Thanks for the 5. My channel is up. The Blind Lawyer Explains Rumble channel. Sent you a link of the video. I was peeved. Well, make sure that y'all check that out. The Blind Lawyer Explains Rumble channel. Link it in the chat there. Way people can check it. Also, Gabriel, thanks for the 449. The whole gang stalker shit is the craziest stuff I've ever heard. It's and I've listened to Alex Jones, both drunk and stoned, on Joe Rogan. That's what I thought. It's not just the craziest narrative I've ever heard. It's the dumbest thing I've ever heard where somebody tries to do damage control. So if you don't know what I'm talking about, we'll play it for you in a second. But it was interesting because Defango himself pointed out that, number one, a name had been put to this. Here, I'll check this shit out. So I myself was pointing out today how I couldn't believe they did this first. Okay. And again, I'll read you everything in it, as far as the gang stalker thing. But I was like, I can't believe they did that. I was saying, TimCast, Shane Cashman, he went to the next level defending Eliza Bleu, to the point the person they covered could well sue him in Temple. They accused the guy that compiled the Blue Threads. If you don't know who Defango is, by the way, the first person that put together, he wasn't the first person to discuss Eliza Bleu. That was the narrative. He was the first person to compile this stuff and to tell you. And he compiled her own words. So it wasn't like he just went out of the way. He came out of the blue, as it were. I know, I'm so good. It's so dumb. I hate that. I had to smoke for a second. Give me a second. So DeFago answered, and he was like, fortunately for me, Shane, in his own words on a podcast, clearly said my name and made it clear he was talking about me. Any pro bono guys want a 60-40 split in their favor? Yay, 2024 and Eliza Bleu scandal. So check this out. Here's the clip, and they name him. They actually say this is the guy. So they kind of clarify who they're talking about because they credit him the way they do in the article. Well, they credit him on this podcast too. So they do clarify who their target was. Hey, X, thanks for 5. Just last night, Tim said that they were being sued, and that's why there were no pictures on the website. What's that about? Probably not Eliza Bleu. Yeah. I'm sure that's not that. It's going to be something else. They could get sued over a few things, really. See, the way they wrote this article, again, Shane Cashman is an idiot because he doesn't understand deniability. He doesn't understand, again, reporting. There's a difference in reporting and accusing somebody of something. You better well make sure that you have your ducks in a row if you're going to accuse somebody of some heinous shit. You know, if you're going to accuse them of being a gang stalker, driving around, picking up people in black vans, driving people to suicide and more, you better have your shit together. And he doesn't. He doesn't quote anyone there. He quotes himself. Like I said, that's bad stuff. You know, that's like the dumbest thing that you can do. And yet there they are. Hey, Viral Shorts, thanks for 10. Hey, Tug, beware of weapons of mass distraction, where Tim is pushing the Sydney Watson story in the algorithm at YouTube, so the Eliza Bleu narrative is buried. Yeah, you know, there's been people talking about that. Now, I don't know a lot. I know Sydney Watson. I don't know Schaefer. Some of the accusations in that case, that's actually fascinating. We'll talk about it another day. But I don't, I clearly don't know anything about that case to say, again, you know, I've seen people say, oh, well, you know, that guy's this, that, and the other. Well, I don't know anything about it, you know, and again, accusations are accusations. And, but yeah, it does look like a good way to try to bury this thing, you know. Hey, let me switch off, you know. I'm talking about this other thing. But here, check this out.
Okay, a couple of questions, and sorry to interject.
No, it's
okay,
okay.
So who did the thread?
I can find it right now.
Okay.
I don't know. I think he might have been banned by now. I forget his name.
Is the dude who, I mean, does he have any relation to Tate or anyone?
I have no idea.
Okay. So
Manuel DeFango.
Yeah,
what does it say,
That's
Gina?
right.
So let's see if it even comes up here, because
I think
So
it's
you caught
probably
that there.
archived somewhere.
They've discussed.
okay, so it's deleted, or
'Cause
he's deplatformed, because I sent.
So in their live stream, they've discussed this before. They've actually put a name. They put his name to it. So they made sure to an audience to put DeFango's name out there. They clearly represent who they are, and they make it clear they all knew who this was. So that's a real problem. You know, now you could already be sued by not putting a name to it anyway, but this kind of thing, that gets you in even more trouble. Hey, John, thank you. Welcome. Thank you for the membership. Welcome to Tug Stugs, by the way. Yeah, I mean, this is the kind of thing, like I said, this is the kind of thing that puts you in it puts you in a bad place. It puts you in a fun place, though, because we all get to watch it. And now they've probably figured somebody like DeFango can't sue them, you know, which is funny because the accusations that they make against it make it sound like some well-connected, well-oiled machine, you know, where he's this boogeyman, basically. He's a monster that tried to destroy Elon Musk. And yet, so DeFango actually talked about this. Now, apparently he put a short together on this issue too. And again, I'm going to play you what they say in just a second. Hey, Gail, thanks for too. Check your pre-stream super chats. I'll check them when I get there, man. I ain't gonna pull them up and like go through things while I'm doing this. Appreciate those too. Yeah, I've been going back at the end though. 2012 too. Thanks for the 5. I told you in chat, Shane's defamation. It gets worse. Internet found a person that was a boyfriend in Chicago, basketball player. Yeah, she actually named that person and said, no, that's not my guy. But it is fascinating. So I saw that too. I'll bring that up too. Mark Norman, thanks for the 5 too. Hey, Tug, looking forward to another epic night. I've DM'd a Beanie Baby to you on the Bird platform. Beanie Baby. So listen to this. I want you to hear it.
Oh, good morning, Griffcastians. I just got off the phone with Shane Cashman after spending a decent amount of times in DMs with Cassandra McDonald, TimCast's producer, on the article that definitely is talking about me. From my talk with Shane, it definitely sounds like they're going to be taking some stuff down, hopefully. And there's going to be another part that they're going to write, because apparently
so there's going to be a part 4. They're going to start making corrections, it sounds like. Now, really, they don't need to make corrections. They need to, I mean, honestly, the defamation, I mean, it's clear in that. Like fuck a part 4. Fuck them going out and making more money. They make money off of your name, spitting on you there and stuff. They need to do more than that. I would demand that they bring this up in video. I would make demands on it, because again, they know they're going to get sued over this shit. So again, it's your name. You do how you want, man. But I mean, again, they accuse them of heinous shit. But anyway,
it seems that some people that have been stalking me for very, very many years are also seemingly involved with this particular situation. So that happened. Interesting. I really think that this story is going to change over the next couple of days, and it'll be interesting to see which big YouTubers decide to continue covering it.
Fascinating, right? Fascinating. So what he's talking about here, if you missed out on part 3, DeFango, like I said, he was brought up not by name, but they make sure you know who he is. They bring him up and they call him the gang stalker. All right. They talk about organized hit, basically, how this stuff, how this is put together, by somebody that's starting it, and they'll call them the gang stalker. The gang stalker runs in circles that have been accused. You notice there is no I heard, no conjecture, it's alleged. The gang stalker runs in circles that have been accused of controlling hundreds, if not thousands, of bogus Twitter accounts, buying black SUVs and parking outside people's homes to intimidate, and even injecting something into someone who would wake up 2 weeks later with a piece of their minds missing. I mean, holy shit. That's just the beginning of it, though. I mean, holy crap. I don't have the patience to not bury somebody's career for this shit and sue them. Like I said, I would sue them just for that, and it's going to get worse. Rock and Ruin, thanks for 5. Not going to stay, have fam over. Cheers, everyone. Love you all. Hey, man, love you too, brother. Thank you. Catching the chat up real fast. Give me 1 second. Shy, thank you. Welcome. Thank you for the membership. What was Tux, though? And beautifully. Thanks for the 2. Retract, retreat. Yeah. Well, here's the thing. When people when they do a correction on an article, the damage is always done. See, the people, when people first see it, like DeFango said, it'll be interesting who covers it. And that's exactly right. On the same night that this dropped, Tim Pool did a members only chat, and he picked up almost 500 members for his channel. I mean, that's insane. 500 members. That's about 1/3 of the memberships that this channel actually carries for a month, And part of it was all of this stuff that's coming together. So again, they very well monetized this, not only this situation, but they monetized the blowback that was coming from this here. And again, it's advertised. Again, it's not just Shane or it's Tim Pool and TimCast. I mean, it's on TimCast.com. They also, funny enough, so last night when I was covering this, like I said, they had a certain part of this from a website that they shared on TimCast News. They shared screenshots that went with this. So they shared it on their, not website, but they shared it on their Twitter account. So it was endorsed on the website, because the deniability portion has been, well, this is my writer doing that. Well, not only are you hosting it, but your site's page, it's pushing this. It was pushing it, and they took it down. They took down that portion, and they took it down. I'm not going to say quickly, but they took it down because I think somebody knew that this was a real problem, like when you got into it. But it wasn't a problem enough that they were willing to change this. It's still setting here. At least I haven't refreshed in the moment, but it's been setting here for a while today. So if they're saying that they're going to fix the problem, now I'm going to listen to a little bit more of this. So this could also be lore they created themselves to make it sound bigger, scarier than they really are. But I have seen photos of one man in particular whom they stalked online and drove into a mental institution. When people say they don't want to talk about that, you should understand why. These are not good people. The gang stalker says he works for money. He says he works for fame, but I think he mostly wants chaos amongst the independent media landscape. The man puts a lot of effort into making sure everyone knows who he is, and I will not add to his status. So he's telling you, again, he makes enough inference here. You don't have to name somebody. This is a common misconception. You have to put the actual name to it. No, they knew it was. Again, you can connect that. Like I showed you all the pieces there. They make sure that they're going to lay down enough of it, because they're going to lay down all the connections to it. But they played this game where they figured, if I don't lay down enough pieces, then it's not going to cause a problem. Again, it kills me that people have treated this like this is some kind of drama portion. Yeah, they wanted drama, all right. They buried somebody to help out Eliza Bleu, but that's more than drama. That is what organized PR looks like to me. I think that very much looks like somebody running PR in a smear campaign to try to bury someone and misdirect, because they definitely, Shane Cashman has been on the soapbox telling us over and over again, you need to check your sources, baby. You need to do this. You need to do that. He didn't supply anything here. He just railroaded this guy. And the idea, what's funny is the idea of, even if this person had some kind of twisted lore behind them, even if they did have that, he adds to it, and he adds this weird conjectural conspiracy that, he's paid to take down Elon. I mean, it's just bizarre. So even if they would have had, just in some hypothetical world, some kind of twisted lore behind them, he added to it. He added to it. So you could still be like, yo, wait a minute. Dante, thanks for that. I don't care how many retractions and apologies they do. Tim and the whole crew's credibility is forever tarnished. You know what, though? It won't even hurt them. This won't even hurt them. You watch. They, like I said, they made a lot of money. The day that he and the quartering announced that they were making amends, and again, that's no shot at it. At quarter, I get. I've seen people give blowback for that, but I get it on a business side. Man, they have a hell of a crossover. So I mean, get it on the business side. These people run business. For me, I'm not good at the business portion of it. I don't forget when people try to fuck me over. I just don't forget. And I'm not good in the forgiveness is an interesting word. People are like, oh, well, forgive, and it's like, well, there's a difference in, if somebody were to try to burn down a shop there, you could be like, yeah, whatever. But suing them and more. Yeah, this is it's definitely trying to commit virtual arson at least. I mean, it's a mess. Viral Shorts, thanks for 5. Cug question. Tim will pay Shane to do 3-part puff piece. That is extremely key. Well, the thing is, he's an employee first. He talked about, he does. He's his employee. He sent him out. Shane parked himself with this person for days. It's hyped up on their website. Again, it's part of that. Like I said, the issue isn't just writing. It's Tim's website. 1 second. Hey, sorry about that. My daughter, she's a little bit away, and she's playing. We picked up that Hogwarts Legacy, and she's we've been playing on that all day. But she's parked a ways away. She can't really hear what I'm saying there, but she's running around, and she had the sound coming through the controller. I was like, hey, we don't want to pick up any copyrighted sound from that because it'll jack us up. Beautifully. Thanks for the 2 there. I'm a loyalist indeed. Somebody asked who Shane Cashman is. Okay, that's actually a good question. That's a fair question. There was a writer. So when all of this started out, all right, just to add this in, when all of this mess started up, it actually, Timble was the person who brought it up. He said, do you want me to cover this? And then, he threw Jeremy Hamley quartering under the bus. He was like, hey, I was going to cover this, but he made it sound like too, he had no idea about this, but a person that works for him, Shane Cashman, writer for TimCast, he was actually embedded with Eliza Bleu at the time. They had already planned this. You could tell they had posted about it previously. He was embedded to do a puff piece. Well, after the blowback happened, he changed what he was doing, and he pretty much makes that clear throughout his content. He makes it clear that, hey, I'm changing this to adapt, and it looks like he makes it in the first part, and well, I'm going to say the 1 and part of 2 for a minute. He makes it look like, oh, well, I'm going to go out and I'm going to check out and see what this is. And then at the bottom of 2, he drops off the side and he starts calling people, leeches. He compares them to tumors in the body. I mean, he just drops off the side. In 3, though, that's when this comes up. So after his statements about all of that, he does most of an article that is just it's not about Eliza Bleu anymore. It is essentially a hit piece on Defengo, and it tells people, if you're associated with this guy in any way, like, you're a scumbag pretty much. Oh man, I'm looking down my nose at you and more. It tries to, it doesn't just damage him, it tries to drive people away from him. And again, the more I look at it, and there's a lot of people to do this stuff because they figure, like if you did this to me, you might think I could sue you back. A smaller person out there, like a smaller YouTuber, and again, I don't say that like, oh, look at me. I'm just saying, like, in reality, when they're looking at it, people very much judge the size of channels and the reach. When they see somebody with, that was at the time suspended, so they didn't have their regular account. The original thread had been taken down. Their channel, they look at it and they say, oh, that's not a big channel. They probably figure that they can, they're not going to be able to muster the resources to come after them in hard, because lawsuits are expensive. But at the same time, I mean, this isn't the kind of stuff you can let set, because they try to, I mean, it's not, again, there's a difference in saying, I don't like these people. I don't like TimCast said, I don't like Jeremy Hamley. I don't like, Venti threw like myself and other folks into that stream before he apologize, I guess. I don't really know what he said last night because he put it behind a members only thing. So congrats on that too. Yeah. I mean, so I don't know, but there's a difference. There's a difference. So he continues though in saying, he could very well be reading this out on live stream as we speak with the condescending tone he used for my stories. You can tell he got butthurt is what he was. I respect the work ethic. Dude live streams all the time and supposedly works at a casino or an Uber Eats, or he's a Fed. He's a Fed, baby. Or he's a hero in all of this, and I'm insane one. No, you're the one that defamed, dude. That's your problem, dude. You're not the insane one. You admit that this stuff sounds crazy. Like, that's the nuts thing. Like, he admits, he adds no research to it at all. He even admits how fucking insane this stuff sounds. And he keeps drawing down who this person is more and more. If you know the man that started the thread that threw Eliza's timeline into question, then you know the name. So again, that connects to the clip that I showed you. I find this tactic to be incredibly dangerous, dubiously legal, and absolutely sinister. I've been on the receiving end of this tactic. I see anyone in his surroundings as a threat. So, like myself, because like I'd never known Defango before. And again, this is not a distancing comment. This is just reality. I don't know the guy from anything. So if you're going to make a claim like this and try to be like, yo, distance away, because okay, somebody like me, you don't know how I would react to this. I mean, you may know how I would react to this, but there's an intended reaction that comes with this. And the intended reaction looks like an isolation reaction. Let me isolate. I've seen that with a lot of people too. I've seen that from everyone in this story, from Bluey Anon. Again, I brought up Megan Fox yesterday. I've seen her. I've seen that a million times with people. But the level of this, again, it's not just usually it's they're a right-wing grifter or something. Well, they can't play that. They can't play that card here. So they do go with their another side grifter. They attack Elon Musk. But again, the claims, driving people to suicide and more. But I see anyone around that worthy of total distrust. Worthy of total distrust. Again, this is hosted on the TimCast site. This is, for all intents and purposes, this is, again, Tim's brand telling us, distance yourself. Distance yourself and do it fast. Perhaps he's only a troll, though, but I think it's much darker than that. I think, again, no allegation, again, he throws in the conjecture. I think everyone should be wary of the way he does business. Just a minute, my daughter is coming over this way. 1 second. Hey, babe.
I want to thank whoever gave me this.
Oh yeah, somebody sent a PO box. They sent all kinds of cool stuff. Yep, that was very nice of them, wasn't it?
Yeah, they gave me this little beanie baby, aka T-Rydal.
Yeah, people seem cool.
Its name is Chip. It's a sheep, and it's a calico. So I wanted to thank whoever gave me that.
Okay, go play. We're covering something crazy, so you can't be around today. You have to go. You have to go where you can't hear all this. That's my daughter, little umbrella girl. She's a 9-year-old, so she loves the mic. She's like, ooh, the microphone. Not just that, she's like, ooh, thousands of people. They're so funny. But yeah, we get sent stuff. We have a PO box, so people send things, and we recently had some very nice people send some stuff. I'll talk about that at the end or later on. But again, thank you for that too. If people send stuff, I appreciate the hell out of it. Oh, it's cool. But anyway, so he doesn't work alone. They said he does not operate in the shadows. He's vocal about his services. The gang stalker was affiliated with a supposedly defunct company called Shadowbox. Now, this actually had a statement. Like I said, it was shared by TimCast's site last night. Give me 1 second. It's been pulled down. I actually have it. I don't know about archiving. I archived it live, so I can just go pull it out. But I'm sure it's been archived as well. But you can see where it was and it was pulled down too. I actually responded to it. The only reason luckily I looked at it live. There's so much stuff that goes on and into stuff. You can see this is where they posted. They posted 2 screenshots from that say exactly what he's going to quote there, And again, this was associated with the article. So they used TimCast News. They used that Twitter for it. I keep saying site, but their Twitter, their official Twitter for using part of this. I thought, did they pull that down or did they block me? And it wasn't the block. They actually pulled down the statement itself. Because again, they have to know. You have to know. Like somebody there, Griffcast, Defango, he said he was talking to Cassandra. They were going to do some kind of, addition or correction. He'd been talking about that too. And I wouldn't rationalize shit. I'd be like, yo, do I need to get a lawyer here? I would have come in with a lawyer. I would have. I'd have gotten one of a dozen lawyers that I know. And I'd been like, yo, you want to have some real fun? You want to get frisky tonight? Because we gonna bring the fun times. We gonna bring those fun times indeed. Because I'd have been sitting here like I'd been like, yo, when I'm contacting you two, I'm gonna cover all this shit live. So you better say the right fucking thing, and you better do it now, because otherwise I won't be talking to you anymore. I'll be talking about you, but I'll be talking about covering the lawsuit that I'm gonna bring against you, because I'd fucking crowdfund it and I'd bury them for it. And they'd pretend, oh, it's about the drama. No. Why would you do this stuff anyway? What drives a person to go this far down the rabbit hole where they wouldn't just run a puff piece. They wouldn't just run a counter piece. They wouldn't just damage their brand for it, but they would go further. Why? Like, again, why is a word that haunts me. Like, if you've ever followed I go down that rabbit hole of why sometimes till it's detrimental to my channel, because I don't particularly care, because that's what my channel, that's what I like to do. I like to ask a question. I cover something repeatedly. I'm not going to read you headlines all day long. Maybe I'll find something. Maybe I haven't found something that asks the particular why. So I'm covering pop cycles or whatever. But when I find that why, I need to ask it. And this makes me ask why. It makes me want to go down this rabbit hole. It makes me keep looking. Again, as I said, Eliza Bleu fed this thing at the beginning, and she started this cycle. But Shane Cashman has kept people's attention, along with Temple. They kept that. Now, Tim, I would have dropped off talking about him if it weren't for this kind of stuff. I wouldn't have talked about, because he's a speed bump in this story. He brought up the why. Like, the reason I cared about it was because this, and then he associated it himself. He started talking about it after he had already talked about, hey, I'm going to cover it. So that, again, that got the old, antenna up, and it made me ask, why would you do that? And I can't necessarily answer, but you know what? You're allowed to provide conjecture. You're allowed to say A plus B equals C. Like, you want to understand defamation. I could say, somebody goes to the bathroom, they come out with white powder on their nose, and they're excitable and shaky. I can say, well, I can assume that maybe they're in the bathroom doing cocaine, right? But there needs to be something that you base this stuff on. What they base it on is nothing, though. They base it on nothing. They just did a hit piece, and it's a really wordy one. So these were the screenshots that were provided that had been taken down. It had said, "This is war," Shadowbox. So he gave this company's statement, supposedly, and again, they took it down. So that doesn't look good either. What that looks like, say I bring a lawsuit, what it looks like is that you decided to backtrack and you decided to remove that stuff because you knew that it was a problem. There's another issue. Again, you didn't put this out there, and you went in. It's the same thing. What's funny is that Tim Pool has accused, like Taylor Lorenz, all right? She made national headlines, because she did a hit piece on multiple people, YouTube, TikTok creators, but two people, myself and legal bites. She said that she had contacted people and she hadn't. So that was an issue. Then Washington Post and editors went in and they ghost edited that. They just took stuff down. They took it out, pretending that somehow, fixed all problems. And that doesn't. That doesn't do that at all. And they got hell for it. They got absolute hell for it. And they've gotten it for other political topics too. And I'm sure Tim has covered stuff like that in the past. I'm sure that he has covered the ghost editing kind of things. So if you're covering those when they make news cycles and you do the own thing, you understand that that's not just inappropriate. That's another can of worms you're opening up. Professional zilch. Thanks for 10. Someone infighting to stop. I'd rather know who's on the level and who isn't. Well, infighting, the words assume that everyone is friendly. Like, it's just, oh man, everybody's locked. So what are we? I mean, how are we all connected? Like, what is that? I don't even understand what that means. I saw the same day that Tim and Jeremy were, no, it was the day after Tim and Jeremy were making peace. And then he put out that statement about, differences between him and himself. He put out a rather long thread. I saw all of these conservative voices. And that's exactly what they are. They're conservative voices. They were sharing this around and they were saying, it essentially looked like a lockstep with me. Man, if Lorenz or somebody did this would be a problem for him though, but it's not. And that bothers me. Again, these are people, they told me that we don't matter when we fall on the sword. And like I said, I don't need him to watch my back. I have you all. Like if I ever need an army, I'd be like, yo. And I have people like, again, I talked to Jeremy from Geeks and Gamers, different Jeremy, D-Day Cobra. I was on their show last night. Check them out, by the way. But I was on there with them, Yellow Flash, and we were talking about, different things associated with this. Those are those people would have your back in a heartbeat. So I've got plenty of that. Those are the people that, when people throw around these words like community and more, community is only a dog whistle if all it is a giant stop sign that says walk lockstep or else. I don't remember ever joining any communities. I don't remember that. But yeah, if I'm friends or friendly with people, like absolutely. There's a big difference. These they're not even. Do we have some overlap in a subject? Yeah, but apparently we don't have as much as like people think. When again they're absolutely they're shitting on you. 50 minutes, 150,000 hits on it, and they're telling people like I hate Brenda Bender. It's like, wait a minute. You know what? Their banning didn't matter too. I don't know what was said in the members only thing. I have no idea because again, I'm not a member, but I do know what was said publicly for the world to see, and the world to see was these people. They don't matter. They matter. We shouldn't fight because Project Veritas. So Project Veritas having issues matters, but a person like Brittany Venti getting their channel stomped and their Twitter stomped and all that, it didn't matter. And Chrissy Mayer, again, she didn't matter until the privacy hits came up and all the noise, not the flags and stuff. This has been going on. And there's this assumption, people are like, well, he didn't know, man. Oh, really? Really? You think? He was definitely watching Quartering's videos. And Quartering had made, there have been multiple people that had just broken down the situation just easily. So even from that, plus the posts online, man, living online, talking about the situation, talking about this, that, and the other. And it's unreal. But anyway, so you have these statements taken down. And then I don't believe ruining Eliza was their main goal. So they said, this is, again, he doesn't work alone. He's not working alone of Defango. He's working with people. And Eliza was just a way or a means to do something. What were they trying to do? Well, I think they reverse engineered a chaos scenario. Maybe they want to use her to discredit Elon Musk. Maybe they want to use her to destroy Twitter. But I think it's likely they want to destroy the landscape. So again, it's it's this wide net of course. It's rallying the troops. This has been the rallying the troops and making people decry something. You see this all the time. You see the redefining. I mean, Eliza Bleu has been doing the same thing, trying to redefine what happened. Saying that it was about non-consensual photographs. That, of course, that people have exploited her sexually. They've done it by essentially the way that she's claiming. It would have another word for it. The other word would be revenge porn. She's saying, hey, people sharing screenshots from a YouTube video that was up that she bragged about wanting to put together and more. You sharing pictures of that or links to that is you essentially engaging in revenge porn. And yeah, I mean, again, this is the same thing. It's redefining. It's saying, well, he's trying to destroy Elon or Twitter, or he's trying to destroy the landscape. And the landscape, again, goes with all of you suckers that listen there. See, Defango put a piece in that used her own words talking about a timeline. Okay, he was saying, hey, I was around at X amount of time. This doesn't fit into the timeline. Here's her own words of what was going on. He put together some of the stuff that was out there and put other pieces in that. You don't even need that to talk about what Eliza Bleu did. He didn't add fantasy or facade to it. He structured items from that timeline, which ask a question. Is this stuff that was claimed real? How can you say this timeline exists when? Now, if Cashman was actually being honest about this, he's had answers from her that say that she either lied about what was happening at that time, and you believe, behind the scenes, that her story somehow works in, or there are holes all through that timeline, and she's saying this stuff because, well, it's inconvenient truths that she herself muttered. One of those, again, he asked a question about a video in which she claims that she turned down $150,000 for sex while she's supposedly being trafficked. She's telling you she's an addict. Again, addicts don't turn down money. They definitely don't turn down six figures plus. And on top of that, a trafficker doesn't let you walk away. If they'll sell you for $500, they kill you for $150,000. They would see you as a high price commodity. But her answer to that when it was asked was, I was drunk or high back then. Hey, I was being trafficked after all. How dare you ask me this stuff? And that was that. That was that until the end, where he just wells into everybody saying, again, you're leeches and everything else. So if he was being honest, if he was going out doing more than a puff piece, then. So I have a theory, it says, based on what I've seen from the gang stalker and the people he's practically brainwashed into a deception campaign. This is about all of us now, but again, at best, it puts Defango, either people that are associated with him that are in on this thing, or you've been deceived. All of you are too stupid to do your own work. And again, you see, this is yet more dirt thrown on. He's wicked smart. I believe he sees everyone as chess pieces. He knows how you'll react to certain situations. He studied you so he can destroy you, and he'll profit off your corpse. This should disturb everyone, especially the ones who are so up in arms about who is or isn't grifting to whatever grift standards the grifter upholds. This is butthurt right here. Wow, how dare you accuse us of grifting? I don't care if you grift, by the way. You get your money on. Man, I love money. Again, this channel has changed the way that I can take care of my kids. What we can do and more. I don't hate people for money. That's ridiculous. When people use grift these days, usually it's a joke. Like Nick Rekieta, we call him, King Grifter or whatever. We're talking about. That's a joke. It's goofing off. Grifting is, there's a difference. The term can be thrown around as comedy, but it can also be thrown around with someone that's stealing money in the name of charity. When people are doing this, that, or the other, that's a different thing. That's the negative connotation. That's the true connotation. There's no joke in that. Anyway, let's continue. The gang stalker has also laughed about the way one associate has used gang stalk tactics to drive two people to suicide. That, again, there's no proof of this that's added to here. It's just saying, dude, yeah. Batco thanks 5 for my cigar fund. Yes, that's my gaps there. That's my I had somebody that was nice that sent me a box of lovely cigars. And I'm like, when I go through this, I'm being calm. So I get to smoke one right now. So yeah, that's what I'm doing right now too. But reader, you must be vigilant not to open strange links from people pretending to be your friend. You must remain vigilant that you are not sharing too much personal information with someone you think is an ally. The gang stalker will infiltrate your personal digital spaces, and then when he's ready, he'll flood you with a psychological attack. I've seen this happen to colleagues for the past few weeks, including myself. Of course, it's not all manufactured, but I'm positive a lot of it is. So again, they're saying, like anyone he has contact with, he's using you and he's going to fuck you over. Again, this is a tactic to divide and to make people denounce, It's such a messed up thing. Hey, Cynthia, thank you for the super chat there. Happy Saturday, all. Indeed. I hope everyone's having a great day. Make sure to tonight, it'll be a fun stream, I'm sure. Make sure to tune into Flashcast. I'm sure this will be a topic for consideration. I'm sure it'll be a fun one. Jonathan, thank you for the super chat as well. The Gang Stalker. I mean, that is a cool name. Again, I wanted to, like I said, I'd like to put a fight card together. The Gang Stalker versus the Beanie. I mean, that would be, we could have so much fun there. Again, if this went to lawsuit, it'd be nice. And of course, they would call that, it's an organized thing to try to destroy them too. No, man, that's consequences of your own crazy accusations. Again, they didn't just, they could have put allegedly in any of this. But again, Cashman is his own enemy because he wanted to write a novel here. He wanted to write a novel, and for some reason, he dedicated so much space to trying to defend Eliza Bleu. Like, why? I can't tell you why. I don't know, but I mean, this has nothing to do with when he said he was writing 80,000 words on that. That's what Tim Pool said. I assumed it would be a big puff piece, trying to puff her up and trying to detail orient some of the things she said. And it doesn't go with that at all. So my theory, saying there was a man who sold subscriptions to be part of a private group. This man talked about honesty, fatherhood, masculinity. He earned lots of memberships. So they're talking about, Jack Murphy. His platform grew. He appeared. He had frequent guests. And it Stuff came out about him, sorted past, When that happened, we saw a distinct fracture, YouTube personalities. The man in question was practically banished. I found this story to be perverse. I believe in redemption, So he put that in there, to take his shot at YouTubers, and he comes back to the gang stalker. I could be way off base, but after researching the gang stalker and his wild claims he's made, such as starting QAnon, I believe it's possible he used Eliza to create a similar situation as the one described. Dig that hole deep, baby. Dig that hole deep. Romer, thanks for the 5 there. When Tug releases it turns into bean till herd stock for Gelt to climb above grows, legend says. The legend being Romer Erickson. That's gross. That's really nasty. Let's see. If this theory holds true or is true, he probably understands how everyone would react. He knew who would jump on the... just a second. I think she said that. It sounds like the controller is vibrating on the chair over there. Hey, your controller is vibrating off the chair. Get up. It sounds like it's it sounds like a lawnmower. I was like, what the hell is that? Is my PlayStation going to blow up? I was like, what in the heck is that noise? He knew who would jump on the bandwagon and meme the target to oblivion, and he knew who would stay quiet. He knew how the audience would react. And I think he knew, here's the thing that people need to understand too. With the first, when the first thread about Eliza Bleu came out, DeFango was met with a lot of nastiness for it because it came up way before this stuff happened. He just organized some of the statements and said, yo, this person is sketchy. I know about some of this in the past. So he didn't get any positive reception on it. It was after the bannings started. That's when people noticed that. So to assume that he engineered this thing is to assume that he had either planned bannings or he had the foresight to know that Twitter was going to come down with this, which is absolutely absurd. Like he wouldn't be able to know that. He wouldn't be able to know that at all. He put together something that, again, it got traction over time because of the person and their own actions. And it brought up their own words. And people were looking at that and they were saying, And, to say that somehow that stuff doesn't work or doesn't fit is an absolute absurdity. It is an absolute absurdity. I mean, I don't even see how you could say that. Jack, thanks for the 20. What about the Humanity House? And did she accept any money or get any tax breaks? How much money did she make with her email, Helen Troy, booking at Gmail, and the website she had to book models? Well, she says, that wasn't a charity, man. It was just me letting people stay in my home. She actually, that's the story that she gives to him. And he embraces wholeheartedly. I couldn't turn people away during the beer bug, therefore. I mean, he put that in here. And yeah, that would work, except for there are statements that were made by herself, asking people to support this thing she was building, the Humanity House. There's plenty of public record for that where you can check it. And again, he could have done a modicum of research, but he decided not to. I may pull those up when we move forward in a second. But he says, if he's reading this right now, he's probably thinking he should tell people I'm giving him more credit than he deserves. That may be. So he's telling them, maybe I'm lying. Maybe I'm giving him too much credit. Maybe this isn't correct. That again is a fuck up. So you're flagrantly admitting that some of this stuff that you're noting is falsity. Now, what do we call that in the land of non-make-believe, the land of not writing 80,000 words and thinking everyone falls over yourself? We call that defamation. That's just clearly what this is. It's very clear. It's admitting to it. I think there are a lot of people working for him. They are either associates or they're bots. So he's controlling a bot army too. I mean, man. But the ones who've been most cruel online, to me and others, all follow each other. It's a web of chaos agents. So again, because like for me, I follow around 800 people. Are you telling me that I'm a fucking bot or I'm in charge with a chaos agent? Is that's what you're trying to say? Because I would say the loudest people in this, of course, have been people like the Cornering, have been Brenty Venti, have been Chrissy Mayer, have been Yellow Flash, have been Camelot, have been Bluey and Non, have been Defang, and many more, and Fair and Balanced, and just the list goes on and on. They're names that I know are real people. To put them into agents of chaos or chaos agents, yeah, I like a good trash fire, if that's what you mean. But, I'm not the one who poured gasoline on it. These folks did. So to do that, it's disingenuous. And this person, they know it. They know it. The claim, though, oh, well, because to say, oh, well, bots. No, the reason I say all of those names is because if you look like a bot account may get some inorganic push or inorganic likes on something, but it's very hard for them to push something for long. They don't get a level of it. The person behind this stuff is Eliza Bleu. She's the one who pushed it. If we're being real about it, she's the one who drove this. She's absolutely. I mean, if you look at her statements, people are responding, oh, man, I need you to come out of the woodworks and defend me. I haven't asked for 3 weeks, but I need it now. I need it now. I mean, how do you think people are going to respond to that stuff? Now, of course, eventually real people will pick up the situation and then offer credibility to the concern. Once that happens, it's out of the gang stalker's hand, but not entirely. He can still do things like create websites in real time on live streams and then throw them into the internet to confuse everyone. So they say, he created this Helen Troy modeling. Well, actually, I'm going to read this for completion's sake. I'm tempted to skip over, but I'm going to make sure that I read this for completion's sake. And he quotes like BX Bullet. He actually quotes them in here as the one thing out of anything for a website thing. He quotes them saying, okay. So he says, the gang stalker created this website. It was registered on February 2nd, 2023, populated with Eliza Bleu photographs, old photographs of her. Eliza doesn't remember modeling for them, but I talked to a model who'd like to remain anonymous who was involved with that. Supposedly, they shut down a long time ago. She said it looked like the company's Instagram and website had been completely moved. She told me that it looked like that they looked this way when she first attempted to work with them. She wouldn't have taken them seriously. So, I mean, that's conjecture, though. Well, I think that they'd been moved. And again, it's this assumption. So what they're saying there is that the gang stalker created a website to host smear pieces. On top of that, he created false Instagram. So it's grown in that. He created a false website, false Instagram to go with it. It's clear that the company folded and then someone created fake profiles and a website in order to use them in a smear campaign against her. I would not be surprised if the fake article about Elon Musk unfollowing Eliza also came from the gang stalker. So, yeah. So him saying again that never happened. Okay. Many things get thrown into the fold. Like that's another thing too. I always love how if something comes up in things, that he says is not true. I don't know. Like I said, I have not seen screenshots to prove that happened. I like screenshots. to prove that something happened. But to say, oh, when this one well, everything falls apart. That's fascinating. That's fascinating. Again, when somebody, practically they confess to you that they've done some fucked up stuff, and then you're like, but it's strange to me. But I don't know BX Bullet either. That's not a statement on them. I also don't know what else was all said with this stuff either. But the private investigator, are they a private investigator, by the way, who experienced a similar smear campaign, looked into the domain and said the website's URL was registered the previous day. In addition, the data matches that of the gang stalker's website. Okay, so, oh, yeah. Like I said, I don't know that person. I always hate, one thing I don't like about articles like this, when they do an interview, you never know what makes it in and doesn't. Usually an interview, like unless they're quoting something off of Twitter or something like that, which they don't say, they don't link to or anything. It gives you the assumption that they did an interview with this person, and typically an interview is more than a sentence. You know what I mean? Now, they could have made a statement somewhere else. I don't know, but they don't make it sound like that, But then again, I mean, this is hatchet job journalism at the best. We must remain vigilant of whom we speak on this hell site that is the internet. It is important to me that we identify this problem. We should be able to use this knowledge for maximum good instead of jumping to pile on somebody before anyone knows a full story. We should reserve judgment. So he keeps going on to this, he keeps going on and on and on about reserving judgment. And yet, I mean, my God. Yeah. I mean, all this is where this statement is. And this is all about the gang stalker, really, because of the they. We all participated in I understand the need to call out hypocrites and bad faith actors in our circles. Fucking Eliza Bleu isn't in my circle. She's not in my circle. Again, there's this assumption that these people are in our circle. I don't have a fucking circle like that. I have friends or allies in the game that I've met over years. People like Nerdrotic, Geeks and Gamers, Jeremy, Ryan and Flash, Ricada, all those people. I would consider them, a circle. We're not answerable to each other. Like here's the difference. Not one of those people would tell me, maybe behind the scenes, they'd be like, hey, what's going on with this? Or, something, but they would never tell me not to cover something. They would never. They might tell me they're not interested in the story, when we're live or something, but they would never tell me not to do that, ever. So, I mean, that's the difference. You're loosely confederated because you typically fight the same people. But the idea that we're all in the same circles, how the hell is that? If you're in my circle, by the way, and my channel gets hit, the people I would consider in my circles are the people that would have my back. Like I say, the people who ignore you, they're not in your circles. They would like you to be in their circle where you would go to war for them, But that doesn't go both ways. We have to have tough discussions. We should condemn censorship. We should also try to understand someone before ridiculing them into oblivion. I'm guilty. You are guilty. You are guilty. These past few weeks have proved to me that not even the anti-establishment is immune from the mob mentality. How the fuck are we? We created a new establishment by being I am anti-authority. I am definitely all of that stuff. I would say that fits there. I think a lot of people are too. But, again, that may make us loosely confederated, but it's not. We all participated in a psyop. We were all part of a psyop, again, led by the gang stalker. But we can move forward and learn to identify this tactic. We've seen who will cave to entertain a conversation in the fashion the mob demands. Again, sitting on that hill, spitting down, baby. I would be pissed if this was my employee, if I didn't agree with it. You know what I'm saying? So they have destabilized us, and they sit on their live streams every day mocking each and every one of us. Each and every one of us, really? No, I think just people are talking about you. You're mocking yourself. Again, the trash fire. All that people had to do was there were so many simple ways of disengaging this topic easily, or just not being part of it. When his own crowd, it amazes me when your own chats are turning on you in the process that they are part of some kind of mob there. 2012, thanks for doing a punch up to Tim or anyone to back talk. Well, like I said, a lot of us, we obviously aren't worth other people's time or their attention, and that's fine. Like I said, we don't need someone to back us, but to say we're in the same circles is crazy. But they have destabilized us. They sit on their live streams, which for the most part is canceled out by the Eliza side of the story. So he tells you which ones are both unnecessary. So Eliza's telling the truth. He made that clear. He thinks that, which is his prerogative, but he didn't back that in any kind of he told you, you just need to believe me in this. He told you that in part 2. You just have to believe her. But some people are going to have a problem with. They're going to have a problem. Again, this really bothers me from any side of that. Listen and believe has become ingrained in every side of a social and political conversation. It has become the standard. Some people will decry it, but as they decry it, they will also endorse it when it's convenient. That is not. That's anyone who tells you that you have to endorse something that they themselves are supposedly decrying, that just, yeah. And they did, they did. It seems extreme and schizo to say all of this out loud, but if you listen to these people talk, you will learn that this is a real problem we all need to be suspicious of. It's so easy to sow discord in communities. No one is immune from getting tweaked by hate and confusion. When you've been convinced, you must be in the right. That actually should be a statement that should be turned back to these folks. They've convinced themselves. Again, there's a confirmation bias that comes with all of this. They've confirmed that they are in the right from go. They figured they were in the right. They talked to the person themselves. They didn't speak to anyone else. They didn't speak to issues, anything at all. They themselves said they're not worth talking to. They've created this notion of journalism and impartiality while also throwing that in. So in the wake of the Twitter suspensions connected to World Hip Hop, a lot of YouTube commentators started saying that podcasts should start vetting their guests better. I would suggest you that the same goes for your sources of information, the people you're willing to pal with, as you mock someone's downfall. Again, here again is a statement of, don't associate with people like the gang stalker or people, AKA the gang stalker. I would love to see all YouTube personalities involved in Eliza Bleu drama make videos detailing the way gang stalkers can infiltrate a community. Yeah, I think I'm doing that right now. Isn't that what this is? Isn't this somebody just burning someone to the ground without any proof whatsoever? I mean, again, if you got proof like that, if you're holding that hand and you can prove that this person is that thing, then yeah, put up. But they didn't. Instead, you all need to make videos decrying people like the gang stalker. Again, weapon of mass distraction, baby. They have much bigger platforms than me. You're literally connected to TimCast right here. I would say that you have a pretty massive platform when you're doing this. And I'd love to see them alert their audiences that we all need to be seriously vigilant about this destruction being aimed at any one of us in the future. I'm sure the gang stalker will do this to me, continue to do this to me, as I believe he has been the case for the last few weeks. Again, so he's butthurt here. It's the same thing they said about, it's the same thing that Tim said about the quartering when he said threats. There were a couple of threats that they got, he said, that came into to TimCast. Then 2 hours later, Jeremy Hambley makes this proclamation, according to him, that's like, our audiences want war. I don't want that. Tell me, your writer, this guy, this dude, whatever he called him there, taking them to task. Again, that's the same kind of statement that was there. It's just a different statement. It's much more in depth this time. The thing is, the gang stalker will rejoice that he's been mentioned in articles and videos. He's waiting for people to find him. He doesn't try to hide it. Yeah. We'll see how this holds up. And again, this is how you get sued. Now, people were asking about the Humanity House thing. The Humanity House thing. This, by the way, I forgot. So there's a conversation. Now, I want you to listen to this, too, because tell me what's being discussed here. Okay. So he says there's a conversation between two of the gang stalkers on the podcast. Hopefully I can get more popular, one says. They brainstorm so they can pretend to turn on each other to create chaos. And then they say, okay, I'm a controlled op. My dad works for the government. You're in cahoots with Twitter. I can give you material to link about me. They make it sound like they're talking like it's DeFango talking about himself. Like whose father is in government? Who seems to be in cahoots with Twitter? Who seem to have organized PR working for them? Do you think that's DeFango talking about himself? Because that is not these two people sitting down saying, hey, let's get famous. We're going to do this. Because that's what this says. It says they're sitting down talking to each other saying, yeah, there's two people here saying this is how we get bigger. No. Then they define gang stalking. Working with a gang to stalk people, something that paranoid people say happens to them, but it's also a thing that happens in real life. It means that a group of people are stalking you all at the same time, trying to make you feel crazy. We know someone who is a professional at that. Sometimes they do it until you kill yourself. We know exactly what kind of tactics these people use. That's how we're capable of identifying them. Does that sound like a statement about yourself? They know how fragile people can be under the crushing wave of a digital attack. So many people's entire identities are uploaded onto the internet. That's why it pains people to be banned from sites like Twitter, to lose a YouTube channel. So that, again, he tells you this is a reason that people would react the way they do. Like he actually is telling you, the organic rage that came up from that. Yes, I understand what it's like to be hit on platforms. Therefore, when people get hit, that's why I see it as a real problem too, because it's not just a problem that I see with, I see it as an overall overarching problem, but I can identify with that problem because I understand it. I understand what it's like to be in the crosshairs. I thought we all understood it too when we were talking about wanting change on Twitter. That's been part of it. But it's the public square, and the gang stalker is lurking there to destroy you. I've been talking a lot about my idea of simulation theory. We aren't some computer-generated reality. Rather, we're born into a base reality or original reality, and there are actors that work to warp reality they use for manufactured information. The gang stalker is an engineer of just one simulation. It's impossible to know how many run at once. I fear the way gang stalkers will evolve their tactics for deep fakes. So they go into the issue with deep fakes, which they actually go into with Eliza as well, which it doesn't have anything to do with this. This is just, in the future, I've seen friends create AI voices that sound like us. I don't know if we all fully understand how wary we must be as we move into the future. Again, this is deflection too. Are those really Eliza's words? Are they? Maybe that's just AI. I mean, that's what that sounds like, right? It sounds like a deflection point. All those things that you thought were really her. What's up? Hey, Jonathan, thanks for the super chat. How do you keep the gang stalker away? Is it enough to put salt outside someone's door? Is garlic effective? Yeah, really, really. Do I need a crucifix? I'd say if salt works, man, they've basically tilled the fields with it, so the gang stalker wouldn't come for them. But they say it's digital guerrilla warfare. This is too important to ignore. Aside from watching what I believe to be a heinous character assassination, this needs to be shared so people know not to fall victim to these campaigns. We need to figure out together how we can shield ourselves from the gang stalker. Again, it's not saying from gang stalkers. It's, again, they use one term, they associated one individual, and they continue to use that. They use it as, they also do this other thing here. And if you notice right here, they use it like it's a name, like it's the person's name. They capitalize it, and again, this is somebody that supposedly prides themselves on their work, but you notice the capitalized gang stalker. That's a name, and as differentiated between gang stalkers, lowercase, plural, and you see this happen again and again. You see it right there. Again, they're talking about one person. They're not talking about. They make it clear again and again. Everyone needs to everyone is focused on nuclear war, doomsday, war has changed, it's deceptive, the nukes have shrunk. A simple thread on Twitter that doesn't make sense once you realize Eliza was born in 81, that she was trafficked 2 times. I don't have enough proof she lied. I believe her. I don't have enough proof that she lied. I'm just going to believe her. You don't have proof that she told any kind of truth. You have proof that she did lie. You just don't have enough proof to say, oh man, I'm going to decry this stuff. But you believe her. Again, listen and believe there. I don't need anyone to feel the same I do about the story. You don't need anyone to feel the same, but if you don't, well then, but I would like to see people switch up the way they mindlessly attack someone without ever hearing an alternative point of view. Oh, people asked her questions and they got banned for it. See, that's the lie in this too. It acts like people didn't ask her questions. They just piled on and they just tried to destroy her because, hey, this guy was creating some kind of psyop. And that's not the reality at all. Asking questions got people banned. She wouldn't do it. She wouldn't answer this stuff. She wouldn't make statements about it. She locked down her Twitter account and she had an embedded, because all the time she had an embedded writer with her. Again, she had somebody writing her puff piece. There was no need to. She figured this would drown it all out. It's clear the loudest critics of her story hardly read. Hardly read. You ain't educated enough, my friends. I'm like, okay, he does the check mark flex here, saying that people are fake too, because you only have the new blue check mark, which doesn't matter. And I was like, I have an old blue check mark. Not that it matters, but if you're gonna make that credibility, not read, being illiterate and having a master's degree, that's fucking strange. You know why I don't have a PhD, by the way, because when I was working on my PhD, I had 2 issues. I was working with, first of all, my father was dying, and I decided to spend time and max out every resource I had. I would rather trade that instead of having a PhD. But I had 2 years on that. I was into our, you get into your practicals, your practicum, you get into the, to where you're associated. And I tell you, I was working with families that had no money, that we were telling them that their kids, they needed intervention, possibly because they were having extreme behaviors from their children. They were exhibiting autism or whatever. You were just going in and you're testing and sitting across the table from somebody, telling them that they would never, they make just enough money not to get any kind of government assistance, so they can never do anything about this. It's soul crushing. And it's like, I can't do this. And so you combine those two together, yeah. But to say like that's illiteracy, man, fuck you, dude. Hardly read. I mean, shit. There's always a way to move the goalpost, baby. We're all idiots, right? We're all morons, right? Yeah. I also love the idea of they pretend advocacy. I always love these fake advocates too, man. Like I said, in my day job, we do actual groundwork trying to help people in mental health. We help poor, like people that don't have money, the lowest economic strata. You don't do any kind of that. You don't do anything. You're not good enough. You're not clean enough. You're not pure enough. And nobody has to do that. I don't mean that to say like, oh, you got to do that or else. I'm just saying, what the fuck are you even on about? Out there, these fucking people trying to do their damage control, look down their noses at everyone anyway. But on top of that, the gang stalker. Most of the worst things being said about me, except for a handful of all of you, are all small Twitter accounts that follow the gang stalker and his associates. Yeah, most of the people that are saying things about him, they are not small accounts. I'm also not saying that bots don't exist on Twitter. It is rife with bots. But again, except a handful of you. Yeah. Again, now this isn't like heavy hitting news. If I put out a video, I get about 30,000 hits on the video. That's not monstrous numbers, but I think it's important discussion. So I'll continue to talk about it until I feel that I don't want to talk about it anymore. But I still think that, yeah, that doesn't fall into that. Maybe we're not pulling those 200,000 per, political video, because it plays the algorithm. But yeah, tiny people now. The evil thought that the gang stalker, and again, you notice, the capitalized gang stalker, that's an individual, whispers into your brain, radicalizes you into becoming foot soldiers, enlisted gleefully into the mob. You think you're fighting for good, but I believe you've been enlisted into an evil army. You're the army of Satan. I mean, how far down the conspiratorial rabbit hole do you have to get before, he mentioned QAnon. How is this any different from that other conspiratorial stuff? How is that any different at all? The internet is a wasteland. The modern world looks nice with all the shiny tech. We attribute so much horror to earlier civilizations in terms of barbarism, but our own barbarism lurks in the shadows of the digital wasteland. Now I see a few of the faces of the engineers of a simulation. So again, thank you, baby. All right, you going upstairs? You going upstairs?
No, I'm just looking for my little cat Beanie Boo.
Okay, all right. Sorry, I was going to tell you. Good one. She was watering over here. Yeah.
Then I'm going upstairs.
Then you're going, okay, my bad. Sorry.
I'm going upstairs.
Studio Al, thanks for streaming. Toes Jugs, thank you. She's looking for her Beanie Boo. Yeah, no, not Tim. She's not looking for. She's looking for a Beanie Baby. That's funny though. She's looking for a Beanie Boo. Everybody's like, Tim. She's looking for Tim.
In 1996.
That's hilarious. No. I didn't think about that. If we can identify the tactics, I think we can move on. Doesn't mean we shouldn't ask questions when we feel like someone is lying to us. But I'd like to see us reject the mob brain bloodlust. We are all better than that. So here then, if somebody was asking about the Humanity House here is your answer for the Humanity House. Her own words. which fly in the face of reality because, yeah, that doesn't leak up with. Let me see. Give me 1 second. Let me see if I can find the real easy. 1 minute. So the Humanity House thing. Okay, she's gonna answer. I want to bring up receipts that were placed by the quartering when he was talking about her, and show you the difference in what he accepted as reality. All right. So he said, did you get money for that Humanity House, the safe house you started? I said I wanted to start a safe house. I never accepted donations. I didn't. I had extra mattresses when I moved from my grandma's house down to that house. I heard that you accepted grant funding. I didn't apply for grant funding and apply for 501c3. I didn't do anything like that. This was at the time when survivors were contacting me. It was the winter of beer bug was happening. You know what's sad? Every time I see that word, my mind automatically, every now and then I'll say the word, but most of the time I've gotten so I call it the beer bug, which is weird when you say it like, in real life, when you're like sitting there and you're like, yeah, man, you're like, hey, where's Joe? You work with. You're like, oh man, I think he's got the beer bug. People are like, what? You're saying he's sleeping off a hangover? No. He's got the beer bug. Oh yeah, that's so funny. But this was the time restaurants were closing. A lot of survivors and other folks were bartenders or servers as transition jobs because they didn't have a resume. Some were hitting me up like, yo, I can't pay the bills. Like, I'm going to get thrown out of my place today. And I'm like, I'm not going to let survivors go underwater. What was I going to do? Put them up for a little bit. It wasn't an official organization. I couldn't do it for long. This was an emergency. So this is the answer for that. Now that compares to the actual discussion of the Humanity House. This was the actual discussion of the Humanity House, so you can see where it starts here. So no record exists of the Humanity House actually existing. Here was the, give me 1 second. I'm going to have to, stupid things freaking out on me. Here we go. This is it's loading an archive. So give it 1 second. So we can see the pictures and everything. One minute. All right. So it's my pleasure to announce that the Humanity House now has a home. Give me your tired, you're poor, you're wretched. So you can see, this was announced. It was announced on March 30th, 2020. Okay. Now, let me go back. Excuse that. I just like to catch that in there. Now, there's a point to what I'm doing. I don't want to read this whole thing. Now, she made the claims she made the same claim to Andrew Yang. My suspicion is she lied about it. So, if you look into, so here is another, you can see her talking to Andrew Yang here. Thank you for everything. I opened a safe house for trafficking survivors on Monday, named it Humanity House, a nod to you. Keep up the good work, etc., etc. Now, wait, there's more to this. It's cutting off part. I hate Twitter some days. I fucking hate Twitter. It's cutting off part of the conversation here. I hate it when it does that. I have to roll back. Wait, is some of it missing? I'm gonna have to go to the organized thread. I'm gonna have to see if I pull in an archive of the whole thread. Fucking thing. There's archives of discussion about funding. That's why I want to bring this up, because it flies in the face of this stuff. I think I'll put this on Twitter then, because I don't want to pull it up live. It's a pain in the ass to pull up live. But there's a discussion where she talks to Andrew Yang. She makes statements to Andrew Yang. She makes statements to others as well. And on top of that, she talks about how she's trying to raise money for something. She's asking people if they'd like to donate to it. So she made public statements about raising money, but they're not brought into that. Man, I hate it. Like I said, I hate Twitter the way it is. It's a fucking mess. That's why you got to archive everything. There's an archive of it too. I'm just lazy about it. I didn't pull it up before there, because I was like, it just thought about, then they go into AI and all of that, and then they talk about, well, it's just, there's so much crazy here. So much deflection, so many other, it's just, it's a whole lot of, she wants to talk about the future. She wants to do that again. I'm not going to read all of this. It's so ridiculous. And you still have gang stalkers brought up in this stuff. The gang stalkers might turn on me now with even more force, or any of the others involved in this thing. They might pretend like I don't know what I'm talking about. They can say I'm crazy. I'm saying that you're fucking, I'm saying that it goes beyond sounding like an absolute lunatic. I'm saying that you didn't offer a modicum of proof for any claim. Like that's the strangest thing with, if you're doing, I don't even understand the point to how you could call this a piece discussing this issue. You can't call it anything else but a puff piece. You can't, because it went out of its way not to. It interviewed one person. It refused to interview anyone else. Then it didn't. It tried to defend by saying, "What aboutism? What about this guy? What about him?" Like people haven't. They don't have the ability to look online and find the other million things that we're in now. I just, it's nuts. He works in the spy balloon part of it. Yeah. So nuts, man. This stuff is crazy. Now, it took a minute to go through that. I thought it would be faster. There was one thing I do want to go over, but it's fucking 30 minutes, and I don't want to spend 30 minutes going over this. I want to show, I may cover this on a live stream. I don't know yet. Candice Owens actually did a Who is Eliza Bleu, which has gotten so far 90,000 hits on it and counting. Now that, you can see my liked post. That's how I keep up with this stuff. I'll like it. That's what always kills me when people, they tell you, oh my God, you liked something, you agree. Now that's an easy way to track shit, Like if I'm on YouTube, I'll like it so I can find it later, because it'll pull it into a liked profile. But Candice Owens decided that she would talk about this. She decided that she would, discuss what's there, and she had quite a bit to say. She had some commentary that, yeah, I could understand why people might want to get out of the way of this freight train that's rolling forward, and maybe, just maybe, say, yeah, I don't want to be associated with that. I could understand that, because you never know how the tide will turn. I've been amazed that this is no statement, by the way, on Candice Owens or anyone. I'm just saying, it's for the organization of supposed independent media, period. I've been amazed that with this, that they know is going on. Many of them didn't sound off on it. And when they did, they either did no research, or they circled the wagons and they bought into the narrative. They're just like that stuff. They know, by the way, when you're looking up threads or anything like that, you find people talking about bannings. And it was absolutely ignored. Silence. The silence is not an organic silence either. It's just crazy. Like I say, when you look at that gang stalker stuff, though, you see how that could get you sued, right? Very much so. You all see the problem in that, right? Again, even a Taylor Lorenz, like when she does a hit piece, she knows not she'll bring in some, it may be the loosest confederation for a it may be the loosest confederation for a story, but it's still something that at least, okay, so this is I'll show you the difference here. Give me 1 minute. I'm going to pull up a hit piece from Taylor Lorenz. I'm going to show you how stupid this was, as far as I'm not going to go over the hit piece. I just want to show you in broad strokes, like even Taylor Lorenz is smarter than this. I don't know any way to say better you're an idiot when you do this stuff than to say Taylor Lorenz is smarter than you. I hate Danny's word. Go over whatever you want to. Yeah, I'm a completionist, so I need to go over it. It's a compulsion. I have to catalog it to make it make sense. Again, I'm chasing a why, and as part of that, I like to I watch other people come to the realization of this and tell you, again, there's this weapon of mass distraction that is going off right now that is saying, this doesn't matter. It's just noise. It's on the sideline. Well, yeah, there's a lot of, when people start looking at it, no, it's not. It's absolutely not. And people were distracted by some of the sources that talked about it. Like, oh, the Daily Beast sounded off. Well, the Daily Beast is, I agree. The Daily Beast has some scumbag writers there. Absolutely. I've been part of, I've had hit pieces launched to me from the Daily Beast. So absolutely. The difference is when the Daily Beast did like a hit piece with myself and other comic folks, they went out of their way to make sure that they said, these folks right here, they're Yahtzees, they're not sass. They would go over their istophobes. Why? Well, somebody else said that. With Eliza Bleu, they're like, here's people that lived with her. And they're saying her story's full of shit. There's a big difference in that. They now, would I say that they have some kind of ulterior motive? Possibly, yeah. They make it about Elon Musk, Andrew Tate. They try to also take down people that talk about it. So, they're like, everyone talking about this is because of Andrew Tate. So they had their ulterior motives. But at the same time, about 85% of their article was actually, I was like, holy crap, I expected nothing from them. And then I saw why they made it. They wanted to do it as an Elon Musk attack. But in doing that, they actually went out and provided some details. But here's the Taylor Lorenz attack. This is one I know because it's aimed at me. I'm going to show you how this coordinated. This is an absolute hit piece. But she's smart enough not to do what he did. Okay. So broad strokes. She goes back to 2016. Oh man, YouTube is terrible for women. She, we have the CEO comes in. She's talking about how ad growth works, and women give backlash. They're like, "Oh man, everything's toxic there." So they interview. Well, yeah, this happened to me. Now they don't put any bad guys in here because you only need one bad guy. It's going to be me. Yeah. But they fast forward to 2019. They talk about some nonprofit decrying what goes on, saying misogyny is alive and well. And it continues this trend until it says, well, creators said that the Amber Heard Johnny Depp defamation trial was the pivotal moment of online harassment, even though they said that it was unsafe for women until 2016, which doesn't make sense, but still, okay. Then in that, they quote other people saying, okay, that trial, it caused this. Then they go, okay, they name me, they name where I'm from, and they make this again about me, but they quote someone else. They quote Chris Boozy. They quote the guy who runs paid PR for sure for Amber Heard. That the guy was, he put it in some of his quote unquote research paper. They look like, if you could call a research paper something that a third grader created. Yeah. If you call it research, then it's a research paper. But you see, smart enough not to connect your own words for that, putting together a hit piece. That's how you do a hit piece. That's how you don't get sued. You don't put your own words in there saying this dude is a gang stalker that drove people to suicide and is kidnapping people in black vans and stuff. I mean, you see the way that Rosemary, is Taylor Lorenz even relevant as a human? Nah, she's the kind of person that does this kind of stuff. These things are hit pieces. These are people like a Taylor Lorenz is somebody that you bring in to destroy other people. That's what they do. And that third piece is a fucking, what's the difference? If I read that to you and I would have told you, look at this new article that Taylor Lorenz put out. See, I would have been curious about doing that. If people wouldn't have seen it, I'm curious. If I read you that article again, and it would have said, this is a Taylor Lorenz article. Now you might have seen through the facade because her writing is shitty. she doesn't even have she can't write, period. But if I would have put that out there and I would have changed title perspective, or if I would have changed title, making it sound like more like I would have said, oh, this thing is whatever from Taylor Lorenz, and I would have told you I would have attributed it to her, would you have been able to tell the difference? And that's the point. But the point beyond that is she at least understands how not to get sued while doing that. That's the point. Is she relevant? She's relevant in the sense that she has managed to destroy some people in the past. She has managed to create chaos and she had some big backers. So yeah, she is relevant to a point. With this, she's relevant as an example, I think. She is not relevant in the conversation of this because, if she would have put out a piece on it, I would have probably laughed at how bad her writing was too. Thing, but no, like they circle the wagons. They're afraid to cover this kind of stuff because it attaches to listen and believe. I mean, it always does. It always does. Now, the fun thing about all of this is that during all of this stupid, give me 1 minute. Eliza has not been smart enough to stop. She actually put out, so she magnified this article multiple times last night. I had stopped talking about, give me 1 minute. I'd pretty much stopped laughing at her when she did her call for men. Men join the fight. This is where I stopped laughing yesterday. I was like, I need brave men to stand up for me right now. I'm begging you. It's the first time in over 3 weeks I've asked for it. I'm begging you to stand up, men. And look at all the fucking people. They're like, oh, bravo. Well, stand up, man. Fucking, that's a sad indictment of society, period. Men. Yeah. Men. I keep talking about the power of false accusations and the damage people do with listen and believe. And part of the problem is men. Very much so. Because men, until it's pointed at them, they don't believe in due process. They don't believe in any of this shit. Many of them. I'm not saying all men. I'm saying like a certain type of them out there. They're all too willing to back frauds and fakes. They get their simp on. I don't understand simp culture. I don't get it. Now there's a difference in saying simp culture and saying like sticking up. Like if you're pals with this person, I could understand it. I get it. I get it. You got the blinders on, whatever. But when somebody's mass calling for the men's to stand up, I've never gotten it. But anyway, that's not the point. It's not the point. I could laugh at this. I'm never get over it. This was my point. TimCast knows. TimCast, how to survive with that. Then also, again, pushing it, Folks keep trying to get a hold of me to do interviews, but this full interviewer article isn't even up yet. Yeah, again, somebody wouldn't do like I want a journalist with some stones. With some stones. You could be one, if I said I want a journalist with balls, no, I don't necessarily mean, you know what I mean. I want them with backbone, with spine, that is a definite negative connotation for some of the men that have been putting out there when I would say that many ladies that would do this would have bigger cojones than most of the men that would, because men come to my aid. It's so fucking insulting. But she did damage control for Shane too. She was like, he's a married man with small children. Their lives were all threatened if he didn't publish a hit piece on me. He risked his life. Risked his life to say that he believes me as a survivor and to expose the op against me. That's true bravery. To be clear, there have been multiple threats against TimCast employees about this article if it wasn't a hit piece. Journalists interview war criminals, dictators, and serial killers and get less grief. Oh my God. You know what? Most people agree that, look at all okay, dictator, negative qualifier. If you're probably not doing a puff piece on a dictator, probably not doing a puff piece on a serial killer, probably not doing a puff piece on a war criminal. You know what I mean? So just to say, I mean, if somebody went out and, they had interviewed, say, Jeffrey Dahmer, for example, most people aren't like, but Dahmer says that he wasn't, it wasn't at the play. You know how much flack you would get. Say, I mean, well, you know what? Jeffrey Dahmer, actually, everything that happened to him, it's a psyop. Can you imagine, like, the blowback to that? Oh, fucking people would go insane, right? They would be like, what in the world are you saying? But, yeah, they would definitely get that, So you get the, oh, I don't have a Tesla, Shane Cast. I mean, my God. Then so somebody, I guess, brought up an old boyfriend of hers. And apparently she had to put out their thing. Now, let me be clear about this. Nobody needs to contact. I don't even know who this person is. I just thought, why would you magnify this name in the middle of all this shit? I had another boyfriend. He was a non-abusive boyfriend I had. Could you folks stop harassing him? Everybody associated with him? It was like, I did some, was he brought up before this? Did I miss that part? I'm curious. Because that right there, woo, I saw a thread brought up after the fact, but I didn't see a thread before the fact. Now maybe there was one, I don't know, but it was interesting. She brought him up to Shane apparently as a. But I thought, man, why would you even do this? Why would you do that? That person is they're going to get shit for any association with you. Why would you put their name out there like this? It's fucking bizarre to me. I don't get it. I do not get it at all. Unless you're trying to ruin them, Now for 20 hours, she shut up. And you want me to show you why? Because with all this damage control, again, she feels this damage control will help. You can tell, right? But it doesn't. Now she figures if she can weather the storm, that she'll come back and she'll be okay. But give me a second. Right now, yesterday was the biggest sub loss I think she's experienced. Follower loss, I should say. Her Twitter was absolutely pounded yesterday. And you can actually see, you can see the effect real time in graphs, in followers. Look at this shit. Look at this is leading up to now. I mean, look at it. Look at the followers gained. Go off the cliff. And again, people lose stuff all the time. I say stupid shit. Sometimes I lose. I lose it from transitioning topics, whatever. I lose it from sticking to topics, whatever. So you will lose people, but we know why this is happening. So you can attach it to something. But also, her tweeting Like it was like, well, got to go into silent mode. But look at that. I mean, the number of that's interesting too. There's another 19 that are saying that they don't exist. Again, I have not looked or organized any of the stuff there, but I do find it fascinating. Yeah. Wait, it's Sunday. No, it's not Sunday. It says Saturday right here. Saturday night right here. So there's her Saturday numbers. And they're not live. You can click on the live tab, and it'll keep up with the live numbers. It lags behind a little bit. So just to note, Mike Sullivan, thanks for too. There's a GoFundMe account for her, 6/2021. Yeah, she has a couple of GoFundMes out there that are attached. So she does definitely have them. I mean, look at this. So over the last 30 days, she's lost. There were 2 months where she gained most of her following. She gained 115,000 people and then 40 something thousand. Now she's lost half of the beginning month already. And there's no sign that this is stopping. In fact, people that are telling you that, oh man, this thing, it doesn't have any legs. It's all over. Oh man, people that are talking about it doesn't matter. Well, the public feels like it matters. There are a lot of people that disagree with that, to the tune of, again, yesterday was the biggest sub hit. Well, I take that back. She had a hit on, so it's the second biggest, my bad. The second biggest for 02, you can see 30 off. I mean, it was a massive hit. It slowed down, but their own PR, their own pushes are the things that keep this thing moving. Their own admissions, their own pushes. Again, but I find that number fascinating. I've been curious. Is that an archiving problem? Is that somebody deleting the information that's on that? Yeah, it's insurmountable. It's absolutely. What happened to starting Flashcast 2 hours early? Well, with this stuff, first of all, I don't do Flashcast planning. So he's been talking about moving it earlier, but he has a bunch of stuff going on as well. So, but he's been arranging the guests too. Let me see. The guest thing has been something that I've been trying to organize for this topic specifically, and a lot of the guests are hard to organize. But I would like Flashcast to go earlier. Sometimes that just doesn't work out. But it's I don't know. That is a Flash question. I think it would probably if you went earlier, you would have problems getting anybody like Ricada to ever come on or anything. So I don't know. One other thing I want to bring up too. I think this is fascinating. So we've discussed Spoutable lately. Chris Boozy. Chris Boozy, if you've never heard that name, by the way. Well, Chris Boozy, again, I mentioned even in this as bot farming. This is a person that they are the kind of person that they were talking about there. They were paid by people. They go out. They try to do damage. They have a very messed up past. They're being sued right now by Nate the lawyer, which I will bring up his GoFundMe in just a moment. But when he's running a new thing, Spoutable. I don't know if you've heard about that, but he's running a website that, first of all, people like myself would never be able, even if I wanted to be on there, I couldn't be, because of course I don't. This is the problem with the egos of trading one cult of personality for the other. Ultimately, when you cross someone like, whether it's a Boozy or an Elon Musk or whomever is in charge, they make the rules and they will knock you out of that. Well, on that platform, even though he wouldn't allow folks like myself on there, he's allowing people to try to make profiles of us and sell them. He's making there are people on there selling profiles of giant businesses, corporations, stars, I mean, they're creating these things. They're selling like Tesla, for example. They put together a fake Tesla. But I mean, you see them. Johnny Depp. And they're allowing this shit on there. They're allowing that. That's pretty fucked up. They've made it very clear, like, well, who is or isn't going to be on that site. And yet, if you're going to ban people like already, then businesses off that, then you better fucking ban them. If you're going to allow fake ones to be on there, yeah. But then again, this is the same person that so he had a pre-launch. He had a pre-launch for people that bought into all of his rhetoric and buzzwording and the bullshit. Their information was compromised. Their private email addresses, they were all available publicly. The people who found that at first, they were called hackers. And he threatened them. He said he was contacting the FBI. He would be suing them and more. And then he came out and said, "Oh, wait. That's actually true. That's actually true, by the way. That is 100% true." 25,000 people had their information compromised. And it looks like there are accusations. And it looks like, I mean, from the threads on this, that it very well seems to be, it seems to be pretty credible that he didn't put together a website. He bought an $89 Russian Twitter knockoff. $89 one that had things like, if you want to be verified here, why don't you put a passport as well as your name and your face and the user account there? Why don't you send a 1-minute video to me? And it's like, whoa, wait a minute. These are the same people that have screamed Marussia for because again, he has adopted liberal buzzwording. He's grifted into that crowd, and he's done it very well. He did it off the last election cycle. He did it. It blew up on him, and he's managed to get politicians to back him with that stuff. He's managed, of course, he already had mainstream journalists backing him, but all of that backing, and these are the people that screamed again, Marussia. They're the same people that decried people like Adam Waldman. If you follow the Deb story, Adam Waldman, the way they tried to character assassinate him was to say, oh, he's got Russian connections. Yeah. If you read about his so-called connections, Adam Waldman's legal, like all of the stuff that he did for, it was usually in association with the U.S. government. So he was doing things that benefited the U.S., not Marussia. Now, you tell me, you buy something that's safety compromised, that that leaks the information to 25,000 people and potentially puts their passports and more into a system that obviously the security holes are there. You tell me who's more of a Marussia. But I found it interesting. Again, this is fraud, dude. This is absolutely fraud, especially when places they out and out ban you. But again, that's that same person. That's always been them. Now, Nate the Lawyer, if you don't know Nate the Lawyer, you should check him out for sure. But he, Boozy, went after him in his livelihood. He tried to destroy his life, okay? And oh my God, the legal filings on it are magical, all right? They are magical. He takes apart Boozy. They call him a fraud over and over again. It's hilarious stuff. It's good. I love it. It's fun. It's been a fun lawsuit, and it's there. The Boozy keeps trying to pretend that it's not a real lawsuit. Then oh man, he keeps playing every level of it. He pretends that it's not real. It's some kind of grift or fraud. Oh, it's 100% real. I mean, I'll show you one of the documents. They have the newest one. So Boozy, according to Nate the Lawyer, Boozy tried to approach them for settlement. And he told him basically to fuck himself. Told him live, nah, we're going to go to war there. But unfortunately, lawsuits like that are expensive. So if people would, I would ask that there is a GoFundMe. If you cannot donate to a GoFundMe, I understand that. If you can't, if you want to see some good spicy fireworks, this is a good one. It will be fun. If you can't, share this thing everywhere. Make sure everybody and their mama sees it, because this kind of stuff, it very well is important. It is. And I mean, this guy got multiple people banned, taken down, attacked. Like he tried that with me. Like he had already done the Meghan Markle thing. Any Meghan Markle detractor, and I don't know anything with Meghan Markle really pro or con, but you have the right to be a detractor of anyone. You have the right to talk about a fucking person in that position and talk about, man, this happened or that happened. Well, he started targeting them. When anybody gave any blowback to it, he doxed people. He went after them hard, got them shut down on platform. It was insane to watch. It was absolutely insane. And of course, he's built a website for the very people that that have been associated with that to put it together. Let me a second here. Hey, John, thanks for the 20 there. That sort of thing. It's been going on for decades. When people would buy up domains, hoping a big company would pay for it. A year ago, the Redskins changed their name, and some guy bought 50-ish names they might use. Yeah, the difference is that a place didn't go in and just buy them up. They bought up not only businesses there, but businesses that this guy has outright said, he's not going to allow you on there because of, whatever buzzword. But he's made it very clear, very fucking clear. And impersonation, as far as that would be impersonation to buy that brand. And it is against their terms of service too. So it is stated in there, it's a problem. It's being attached to his product. But now he's been wanting to say that this stuff isn't real. There's no lawsuit, but you can tell it is very much real. It's fun too. I mean, when you read through it, defendant Boozy, on the other hand, had no reputation to protect and little to lose by defaming a man who does. Boozy is a social media personality best known for a series of dubious online adventures, from crypto scams to phony software pitches, and most recently a program called Bot Sentinel that holds itself out as the definitive gatekeeper of appropriate internet discourse. Bot Sentinel ranks Twitter users and provides subscribers with tools for blocking the toxic ones based on what Boozy describes as the leading edge, quote unquote, machine learning based algorithm that identifies Twitter trolls, accounts that operate mainly to harass, ridicule, frequently defame others. There's ample proof that Boozy's social credit scores are products not of rigorous algorithm, like he claims, but of the views people Boozy does or doesn't like, and of vocal critics of Bot Sentinel, and perhaps also a reminder of everything Boozy is not in terms of character, hard work, and personal achievement. I mean, shit. Like that. That's a nice way to say you're a fucking fraud. Like it says, look, well, it's people he doesn't like that are vocal critics, and perhaps are reminders that everything he's not, like people that work hard, people that actually have character. That's what it says. But Boozy went after Nate the lawyer. Like it was fascinating to watch. And I do have skin in that game. Again, I'm not associated with the lawsuit, but I do have the way all of it came up. The reason he went after Nate is because Nate is very outspoken. He doesn't back down. And Ian Runkle, there was a hit piece that went after everybody associated with the Meghan Markle mess. All of that, and me. And it mischaracterized a lot of stuff. It was called out by lawyers. Nate the lawyer was loud about it. And because he was loud about it, Boozy set out trying to not only dox the man and then play that off, but then he went after and said that, he doctored clips of him off of live streams saying that the man he planted evidence and admitted it live, and then he hit anybody that was saying otherwise. So he went out of his way to hide any one that tried to correct that. So he sought to produce a narrative that would destroy someone. Now, as Nate the lawyer has said, he's not just a YouTuber. He does legal work. He just doesn't talk about his clientele. They're private. He tried to damage him, and he doubled, tripled, quadrupled down on that, and he got sued for it. But it tracks back. The reason that it was is because Nate doesn't back down. But also, I mean, these guys, they decided to call out bullshit that had been, I'd had this aimed at me. This particular person had aimed at a bunch of people for a long time, but he'd been aiming at me for months. And again, it wasn't just him. He took his bullshit, quote unquote, research, and he shopped it to news outlets. Again, the Rolling Stone admitted that Boozy had been trying to take down channels with it. And since he couldn't, the Rolling Stone stepped in and they started reporting people. So they were using him to try to take that down. Taylor Lorenz, that piece that I showed you, the main architect of, oh my God, let's go after that umbrella guy, Boozy. That's who they based it all on, because, he threw out buzzwords and more. Now, me, I don't want to spend years and $150,000 on going after a person like that. That's not my playground. I don't enjoy the courtroom. I wouldn't enjoy going there all the time and having to deal with this, but a lawyer would. So I full-fledged endorse what was there. Here, check this out, by the way. So this is the document I was talking about, by the way. Give me a second. Here's the response to motion to dismiss. This was what I was discussing here. So you can see this is a real. Nate the lawyer has been very transparent. He's showcased every filing that has come up. So with Boozy trying to play this off like it isn't a real lawsuit and stuff, it very well is. It very well is. And again, all the stuff I was talking about with that shot at him, yeah, that's all right here. Like what I was mentioning, it's all right here. I had a clip of it. I had to pull the whole thing though. So check that out. I mean, that's what it says. Hard work, personal character. I mean, again, it is very well a real lawsuit. It is a real lawsuit that this guy, he's I think this terrifies him. He plays it off, but he's in the middle of trying to rebrand himself into. He if you go after him now, it's funny. He's gone after Nate the lawyer, attacking him because of his race. Calling him basically, I'm going to say a nice way, a sellout. Okay, that's a nice way I could say that. He's attacked him because of disability and more, while propping himself up as, oh man, you need to go to my Twitter alternative. The one that didn't secure your data. Why? Because Black History Month, Black-owned business, baby. So, I mean, he's doing this while not only fraudulently doing other shit, but he's attacking other men, other Black men because of their race. I mean, it's like, what the fuck, man? Like, how does that work into your grift? But apparently it does. And apparently, like, it's what's alarming, what's striking about it, and really why a lawsuit like this matters is because this person, again, they not only have mainstream endorsement, but they have political endorsement. There are multiple politicians that are following them along. Oh, it's crazy. It's a mess. But anyway, let me look at the super chats that came in. Let me just, like I said, I'm going to put this up here so people see it again. I want people to know this exists. You should share it. Back it if you can. Share it if you can't. I mean, there are many ways to back. I don't want to say that. Sharing it is backing it, making sure that it's out there. Again, it pops up under, you can look up GoFundMe. If somebody would link it, I would pop it to the top. I don't have can somebody link it well for me? And so I can pop it up there. Politics drives everything. Yes. Well, that's the politics is injected into things that aren't, that people make them political because it divides. As I've said many times, the majority of us exist. We argue political ideas sometimes. I consider many of them social ideas because, like, the stuff that we talk about, it transcends. If we're, many people want to break this down to conservatives, liberals, right? These are worldwide topics. They may break down that in your own backyard, but they transcend that when you go across geographical boundaries. I mean, again, these are social topics, and these social topics, they impact almost every side in some way or another. These are conversations that they're huge conversations, and they're in the moment. See, the difference between people arguing over political stuff, oftentimes people are arguing over ideas or ideals. They're arguing over something that doesn't exist in the world because, politicians are involved, mega corporations and shit. I mean, it's corrupt as hell. So, the things you and I argue about, we're arguing about them in a perfect world. In a perfect world, healthcare for all, something like that. Not taking in the mega corporations and the politicians with their hands out. And you know what I mean with that. But these people want to divide you and I when they do that, and they do it effectively. They do divide us. They're very good at it. They're very good at it. I'm not saying that there aren't extremists. Again, I don't know what you call we have an easy to associate word right now with the extremists that go to the very far left spectrum, the progressives or the social justice. That's what they like to call themselves, social justice, or now they're called wokies or whatever. On the other side of that there are extremes too. They get called QAnon or whatever. I mean, we acknowledge that these things are extremes. Most of us, though, we exist in the middle of it. We just go day to day trying to go along with our lives, and we are inundated with messages that divide us. If we ever get past that, we will be powerful. You know why people divide us? Because if we ever get together, man, if we ever unite under a common flag, even for a year, all these things fracture internally after a while. Whether, social movements, they've been studied, and they all fracture. They fracture under their own weight. It's a sad statement. It's a sad indictment, but it happens. But holding them together for time, just for a little while, I mean, you can change the world with this stuff. Again, I think we talked about this a lot with the conversation about with Depp. What was the point in all of that? Talking about false accusations, talking about them existing, and there were people from all over. They defied every boundary that people tried to set on us, and of course, that made you a lot of enemies. It made you powerful enemies, because powerful enemies want to tear us down. They want to make sure that we can't stand together. Let me catch the super chat at the beginning. That's why when people bring up political stuff and they're like, "Hey, Tug, you want to talk about politics?" I'll talk about things like the Twitter files that came up. That fits into what I'm discussing here. I don't, however, just want overt fucking political spin on a topic. And I'm not saying everyone that talks about that from that lens is trying to spin either. People see it from a personal lens too. But God, I mean, imagine how afraid that has to make you to see people looking across that landscape and uniting, when most people, they tell us we can't unite over how to chew bubble gum. That's got to be scary. You know what I mean? It's got to be frightening for some of these folks to see. It has to be. It has to be terrifying. Anyway, 2012 said, my channel's up. Blind Lawyer Explains. Rumble channel. Here's a link of video. I was pissed. Make sure, like I said, people check out his channel. He's starting it up. So check it out for sure. X, thanks for vibe. Just last night, Tim said there was being sued. I'm curious about that. Like, I am curious. I know I said that before. I am curious about the being sued, you know. I am very curious about that. Gelf also, before you were like, check your pre-stream. Well, I just hit them. Those were the pre-streams. That's all that's there, I'm afraid. Let's see. Did I miss anyone? 2012. Thanks for Tug. You're mentioning my video because you're a fan. Well, I appreciate that, my friend. You know, like I said, make sure to put your website. It's hard to get notice on that stuff. You know, in 2012, thank God for crowdfunding lawsuits. Indeed. You know, and that you were saying that about Defango again. That is a put up or shut up topic. if people want to engage in, I find it reprehensible the way that it came up anyway, because it assumes that one person had the power to redirect an entire social narrative or to construct one. And when the person that created this discussion or this social, this organic social narrative that was building was Eliza Bleu, her own actions and Twitter. It's just, it's nuts on that. But again, I'm curious how they'll respond to that. You know, with Defango saying, well, they're going to do another piece. Yeah, we'll see. You know, he's being a lot nicer about it than I would be. He'd be a lot nicer about it. You know. And props to him. I mean, it's his business. I know I'm not saying he should handle it however he handles it, but I would be so pissed being called again the gang, not a gang, the gang. I would be pissed being called a gang stalker, but the gang stalker, you're gonna be really mad about it. I'd laugh at it, but I don't really share a lot of crossover with. I don't think he could hurt me that badly in the social landscape. They try though. They try. Fuck. I don't want to do another. I'll cover. If Tim keeps his fucking mouth shut on this subject, I'll cover their articles, and I want to know where Defango, where that goes. But Tim, as far as that's, I think I've made my point in what I'm saying there. Again, this isn't covering Tim. This isn't to be like, oh damn, that's fucked up what these guys did. It was absolutely messed up what they did. I think if you look at that, most people can agree that was jacked up. You know, he was trying to dox Nate's wife the other day. Really, what happened with Candice Owens? She covered this stuff. She actually covered the thing. I was going to put that in, but my God, it's a 30-minute video. Like I wanted to put in I wanted to cover it today, but I forgot how long. Like this is my bad. In titling, like I said, I wanted to play this and go through it, but here's my problem. In my mind, I thought, well, we can go over the stuff that happened with Defango and the Cashman article. We do it in 30 minutes, maybe 40. We can get them both in there pretty easy, time down in 2 hours and change, maybe. I forgot how long that stuff was. I forgot how many words that had in it. Like I said, that typically if I cover an article, I can be finished. I could read the whole article in 30 minutes. And you know, I'm not advocating for short articles either. When I say that, if you chock that full of actual proof, if I could have gone through there and I could have been like, this is the issue A, B, C, D, E, F, you know, and it had all of this groundswell for it, I would have definitely That would definitely cover that for hours. That would be okay. The problem is that it's tens of thousands of words that say nothing. So, I put Owens because I thought I could go through that tonight. That's on me. Again, that is totally on me. That is my bad. I thought, like I said, I could get to it because I do want to go over this in there because I think the reason it's not necessarily being like, oh yeah, Candice Owens covered it, which it is, but it's not. Her words in there are interesting, but at the same time, there's a mindset shift that you see where there was this blanket silence. And I do wonder, like I said, I bet you behind the scenes that the Daily Wire was not happy about the way that they were talked about with Eliza Bleu. Because if you read those earlier Shane Cashman articles, her own words, she uses them as proof that she's not grifting. She's not after any cash. They're the ones that pushed her. They're the ones that made her a public survivor. She didn't want to be public there. And again, that teeters on the edge of something. This is the same person saying that people are exploiting them or sexually exploiting them. Yeah. When I read through that, I was like, is she saying that that's exploitation too? Or, at best, it was a way to, cover thine ass. But at worst, it was definitely a shot. What kind of shot was it, though? That's what you have to ask. So her message sometimes needs to be heard. I don't like her. I don't like or dislike. I look at anyone there's a political space where people exist, and I don't view that or do anything in it a lot. I think some of the topics that she brings up are important. I do. I think that Candice Owens has had some good takes on some things. I think she's human and has bad takes on them too, and they come from a specific lens. She has a specific outlook or lens that it's coming from the political space too. So it's like anybody. I try to filter the information that comes from that, and again, that's not a negative. It's recognizing what it is, That's one thing that's one reason I don't want to be in the political space too, because I don't want it clouding my overview. I don't want to endorse heavily. I believed in, I believe you can change a system. It has to be on a local level, when you build it up from that. But I don't particularly think either one of these parties. Most of us agree with that too. If that's not like some profound statement. If you look at satisfaction surveys for the House or the Senate, we're talking about single digits. Most of us unanimously agree that they don't think that these people act in our best interest. So I take anything that's said with politics. I look, again, there's a line in the sand. I think some issues are important that come up, then they do end up on the political battleground. I'm not saying that this social issue that has politicians attached to it. The thing is, like, again, that muddies the water on it. But yeah, you can definitely tell, like, there's some crazy stuff that ends up getting into the political sphere. I enjoyed watching, I don't know if you all watched it, but I enjoyed watching the old Twitter that get taken to task. Did you see the hearings where they were asked about what the hell went on? Did you all catch all of that? Where they were asked about what happened with the Twitter files, essentially? Like, hey, the government was in response to you and you killed a story with Hunter Biden. The FBI, what now? And, they all had selective amnesia, of course. They could remember what the story was about. They could come up with what they were trying to kill in the story. They had the deflection. They were saying, well, it involved non-consensual photographs. That was their story. You notice that's a funny thing too. I never thought about that until now. That seems to be a go-to, whether it's Twitter of yore or Twitter of new. Non-consensual photographs. That's a fascinating one. I never thought about that. But when they killed that, that's another connection, with the complaining about the Twitter files. When they killed that old story. That's what they said on non-consensual photographs. And that's what they went with Eliza. Second verse, same as the first. That's crazy. I just never thought about it. Meredith, thanks 5. If this story hadn't become a censorship issue, Daily Wire would have ignored it. But Owens was the only one who could cover because she's a woman. That's the fear. Here's the thing. People have to pretend that you're obligated. You should kowtow or cringe or not cover a subject because of the gear between your legs. Like I said, listen and believe culture. And I'm not talking about people want to conflate what that means into something that's not. They want to say that means, oh, well, if somebody comes out and they say, hey, I've been through something horrific, you can't believe that. Yeah, you absolutely can. The problem is when the crosshairs are put on something, something horrible happened to me. That person did it, burn them to the ground. That's a problem. There's a problem. And there's this discussion about infiltration into these spaces. Again, I know the talking points have been, well, we don't stand with that. We don't stand with this cancel culture. I call it listen and believe culture, because I think it's I think that's more direct to it. It's not as nebulous as a cancel culture, but it's more direct on the point of what I'm talking about here. But to say that like men can't tell, men are the ones that are getting destroyed by it. You see women that get accused too, but they're not yet. It hasn't gotten popular enough yet where women are absolutely just wrecked by these kinds of things. As other lifestyle choices become more and more mainstream, like people acknowledge that there's heterosexuality, homosexuality, and more, you're going to see that shift, and you're going to have false accusations that hit more and more all over the place for every identity, as more and more people embrace the idea that they would talk about lifestyles as if they're just a lifestyle choice, not an agreement or disagreement. Once that becomes the norm, like, you're going to have men and women that are going to eat this. There have been women that have said, there was a woman in, I can't remember her name. She was in that theater circuit. She came out and said she was accused of grooming, and she was accused in a TikTok video. And that, that she was like, no, God, no. But that didn't get a lot of traction because it's female. Right now, though, again, yeah, men do need to speak on it. Women, thankfully, speak on it too, because the people who are going to change that societal narrative as they change it are going to be survivors. They're going to be women, because nobody gives a shit if men are abused. That's the reality. When I say nobody, I'm not talking about you or I. I'm talking about these talking heads out there. They don't give a shit if men, if people did, if you want proof of that, look at our law structure. Our law structure says things like Violence Against Women Act. Not men and women. Women Act. That's the way it's always worded, because there's this societal perception that women are always the aggrieved and men are always the aggressor. And that is not reality. That is not reality at all. you know. And you could see there are so many cases where abusers, this is so rife now. Like you caught the story with the police officer, the female police officer. This came from Tennessee, so this is just a brand new one, that had sex with a bunch of her coworkers. It made like huge headlines, right? I'm sure most of you probably saw that headline, right? It was a national embarrassment for the police departments. You know, all of them were fired. Well, now she's come out and said, you know what? I wasn't a willing participant in all of this stuff. I was groomed. I was groomed. You see murderers do this shit. I mean, every single time this comes up. I mean, again, we have this, it's become so societally ingrained that you can just, it is an automatic defense point where you can say, yes, but that person was this. And it's powerful. It's powerful enough now that all it takes is a claim to burn down your life. And if you doubt that, again, 2 high profile folks, Depp, he was an easy one to see. Manson, again, you don't have to like Manson. You could think he's guilty as hell. But the issue is there. Nobody did research. You had a claim right then. Label dropped him. He was dropped off of every single thing right when his name came up. And somebody Evan Rachel Wood took her claims without a name attached or anything. She took this attack on somebody all the way to Congress without so much as having to prove that it's real. I mean, you don't, that's the problem with, there's where we get into this strange place that I don't have the answer for. You know, when we're talking about advocacy in these discussions that we have, advocates that are going out there. Well, what happens when, like saying Eliza Bleu, just putting her name, what happens when she builds up enough clout that she decides to go after somebody and they are or aren't real? Do you think that Eliza Bleu, before this stuff happened, do you think if she would have named somebody and as an abuser, do you think that person would have had anything left? Do you think that wouldn't have wrecked and destroyed them? She had enough political clout, enough social clout, enough places that it covered her. She was covered in, you know. Advocate is a strong word. It is a strong word these days. Survivor is a strong word these days, especially back. I mean, you don't think that would destroy somebody? Again, that word was so strong that time's up. Most people, when they look at Me Too and Time's Up, they don't realize, you know, Time's Up was Hollywood's version of Me Too. But most people don't realize that that was a company. You know, it was organized by Roberta Kaplan and I can't remember her name. She's I always mispronounce it. But that company, in its inaugural year, like to tell you how powerful these things are. Now, Time's Up eventually got burned down by scandal because they thought they were untouchable. But they weren't burned down by the fraud that they were doing. Their first year that they were in operation, they raised millions. They put 8.5% of that to their stated goal while putting, 38% into salaries for themselves. They spent more money on lavish, like partying, huge parties, you know, that benefited Hollywood themselves and more than they did on their stated mission. And even with that, they didn't get called out for it. You had the New York Post. They did an article on it. There were a couple of articles, but by and large, it wasn't touched. Even after they fell into political scandal, where they got involved with everything that was going on in New York, they were caught behind the scenes coordinating to help go after people that were stating they were survivors, you know. And again, that's not the people that are involved. That's not what they were saying. Listen and believe. That burned them down. That ended up burning them down. But even in that, if you go and read articles up till very recently, you have discussions about how that company went down. But you know what? Nobody paid for it. Nobody. Roberta Kaplan, the person that was caught doing that, and one of the main beneficiaries of this, she's a darling with liberal media right now. So mainstream media, that's mostly a lot of mainstream media, because she's part of going after the orange man. So she's a darling. They wouldn't touch her. She didn't pay. 71 freaking Hollywood folks that were attached to this organization. None of them. They didn't have to even decry the organizations. They just slowly backed away. Nobody said a word. And they didn't say anything really. You had a few organizations that came out and put Time's Up on blast, but that's because they were representing the very people that Time's Up was tearing down. So of course they put them on blast. But anyway, I mean, this is a problem. This is a huge problem. It's a problem that isn't going to go away. You don't have to make it. You're not going to get. Here's the thing too. You're not going to get away from people that see this as a way to get clout either. We're never going to get rid of them. Like, they will be around, but when they do this, when somebody comes out and calls it out, that does work to helping remedy some of this situation. What's up, AJ Stone? Thank you for those 10 gifted memberships, by the way. Thank you for that. And let's see, Bessie, thanks for the 2. Time's Up got me too. Yeah, they tooted, they were idiots enough to destroy their own thing. This chat isn't members only. What are you doing, Tug? I know. What am I doing? What am I doing? How am I not? I'm doing it wrong. Mail Club, thanks for 10. Trust but verify. Yes, it sounds silly, but it has to be but it's kept me safe for decades. Tug, just rock. Yeah, well, there is no neutral switch too. When an accusation is made, you can't undo. I'm going to end here in the next couple of minutes. When I stop talking about this stuff, it irritates me. The accusation itself, we're always looking for proof, not of the accusation, but when the accusation is noted, what do people look for? They look for proof that the person didn't do it. That is the opposite of justice. That is the problem with the whole way that we verify. You can't undo if I say, John Doe again, going with that generic term, John Doe. If I say John Doe abused Jane Doe, then you won't that term right there. You can't undo that. Once you open that, you can't undo it. And people, they see it. And again, they don't try to prove that. I mean, and there's no perfect scenario for that either, because in some cases, like, people aren't going to, they may not have proof, especially of old claims like that. That's where you run into problems. One thing though, that does a lot of times, what, for many survivors, what's proof? Looking at them, you've seen pictures of people that have been like when Heard was making her statements, for example, you could tell that somebody didn't beat her with a handful of rings, because you could look at her and tell. Survivors, they wear their proof. And again, I don't have the answer. I mean, we're figuring this out real time. We still haven't dealt with the problem of everything else. But anyway, I'm going to end here. Appreciate you. I went longer than I wanted to. We'll hit that Owens thing in full. I do need to do that. I just, that's probably its own live stream. So anyway, appreciate you folks. Oh, whoop, Master Lines. I don't want to miss you there. Thank you for your 5 gifted memberships too. I almost missed that. I was looking down. I didn't see that roll in. And thank you. And also there were a couple of super chats that rolled too. Spice of Life, thanks for the 5 there. Love to you and your family, Tug, and our Tugs Thugs family. Indeed. Thank you for that. Appreciate that. Massive. Thanks for the 5. If you ever feel down, Tug, I sent you an email today that will make you feel good about yourself. Thanks for all your live streams and awesome voice. I'll check it out for sure. And thank you for that too. Beautifully, thanks for the 2 there. It's in the eyes. You can't hide. Indeed. All right. Well, I'm going to get out of here. I think Chrissy Mayer is doing a charity stream. I just noticed a message from her about that. So I didn't see it before, but go check out whatever she's doing. And Flashcast comes up in a bit too. All right. But anyway, I'll see you folks.